An extraordinary sight inside the House chamber. Police drawing their guns while protesters try to force their way inside. Demonstrators could be seen occupying the dais. Another image showed a protester inside House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's office.
Well, 2021 is off to a terrible start, so let's look back at the good old days of 2020 with my favorite video games of that year. Just about anyone who has seen a single video of mine will no doubt be able to tell that I love video games. I do. I simply love video games. I've grown up with them ever since I was 4 years old and will continue to age with them until I die. They are an integral part of who I am. So of course I'm gonna make a list of the best ones I played last year. Just with my anime list, this isn't a best of the year list involving video games. Honestly, you can go to anybody else's channel and find that list. Now, these are my favorite regardless of score. And just like with the last list, I haven't played every game that's out there, so, you know, there might be some that I'm missing. With that said, guys, let's begin. These are my 11-ish favorite games of 2020. Okay, so I guess I could have made this number 11 and number 10 respectively, but that wouldn't really be quite right, as personally I feel the exact same way about both of these games for various reasons. First, I had a blast with Cyberpunk 2077. Its stories, both main and side, were some of the most engaging and interesting I experienced all year. I loved the characters and I wanted to see their interaction with the protagonist and his or her story. I thought Night City was a very interesting place and I loved to explore it. Yet, there were just as many bad things as well. Bugs, glitches, errors, call them what you want, this game had and continues to have them to an insane degree. Some of them are funny. Others can take you right out of the experience. There's features missing from the game that were shown off in trailers, so they straight up lied to everyone. And then there's all that terrible crunch CD Projekt Red forced onto its employees. There's the Ravage fanbase that did some truly disgusting things. And yes, those things aren't technically part of the game, but they still soured my experience. I constantly thought of them while playing. The game only makes my list to honor those team members who poured their lives into this project. Kudos to you all, and fuck the management. On the flip side, The Last of Us Part 2 is in the same boat. I loved the combat. I thought the world was just as intriguing this time around as the last time. The game's atmosphere is truly nerve-wracking at points, and some of the characters, for all their flaws, I still thought were very interesting for the most part. Yet, the game also lasts far too long. I think the actions that many of the characters were given felt out of place, and its violence and shocking scenes felt more akin to a teenager adding them into their story because it's cool, and thus didn't really feel it had a mature tone to it. Plus, again, the company and its crunch forced onto its employees left a bad taste in my mouth, as did the community who decided to attack innocent bystanders who had nothing to do with the game development at all. Video games are a complicated thing, aren't they? Now look, I still recommend both games to a certain degree. I still think they're very fun games to play. But just know that there are very big flaws with both of them. And if I were also making a worst of the year list, I would also have included those games on that list. So yeah, take that for what it's worth. If I were making a really quick little list and talking about this game, I would probably say something along the lines of, hey, you played 2018 Spider-Man? Well, it's basically that, just with Miles instead. Yeah. But that really wouldn't be giving the game the justice it deserved. While Miles is the newest Spider-Man on the block, his arsenal contains things that I believe exceed Peter's gadgets. First is the Venom power. No, not that one. This Venom power is all about the electrical output that gives Miles some super beefed up combat powers. Next is the ability to turn invisible after being spotted, turning those tough sections of the first game into a breeze. That being said, don't expect a super easy time, as enemies have their own powered up moves that make things a bit more difficult for the new Spider-Man. The game does fumble in terms of its antagonists and lack of villains, and good God, the frustrating plot point of Miles not being able to tell his best friend pertinent information until it's too late is just fucking stupid. Honestly, if it was from that dumb plot point, the game could have scored higher on my list. Now, in terms of which game is better, the first or the second, is the first one. Let's not kid ourselves, it's the first one. But that being said, don't mean that you can just skip out on this entry, as it's still a really fun time. And as for as short as it is, there's really no excuse that you can't slip it into your schedule. What happened to everybody talking about Ori? I mean, at the beginning of the year, most people were like, Ori's amazing! You need to play Ori and the Will of the Wisps! It's a fantastic game! But now people are like... silence. Well, you know what? I haven't forgotten. Ori and the Will of the Wisps is an amazing game, and you need to go play it because it's fucking fantastic. Enhancing everything the previous title did and then some, Will of the Wisps does what any good sequel does. It takes the concepts of the original and expands upon it. And boy, did they. This was the first game last year that got my completionist blood pumping. And that doesn't happen by chance, as I really don't have the time to complete games anymore. Its world and characters are such a joy that I wanted to see where the story would take them. Its music and environments were beautiful and matched its themes and settings just right. And it all culminates in what I consider to be a perfect ending. It's a bittersweet finale that left me satisfied, which is more than I can say about almost any game I played last year. If you were one of those people that missed out on Ori, you need to go back and play it. And if you're one of those people that tried the first one but it was just too difficult to really get into, they buffed out those mechanics to the point that I think it's a more accessible game than the first. I really recommend you go check it out. Plus, that ending is just too damn good to pass up. My first round of Fall Guys was intense. I had made it all the way to the final round on my first go. It's that obstacle course where you have to get all the way to the top of the hill, all through the rolling balls coming down, through the swirling little platforms, all that stuff, and you have to jump up and grab the crown. And really, I'm making my way up to the top more on instinct than really any knowledge on how to get up there. And I get up there, it's me and one other guy, and I thought, oh shit, there's no way I'm gonna win my very first round of Fall Guys. But then, I jumped just a split second before the other guy, and I scored my victory on my very first round! Yeah, I think I had finally found a Battle Royale game I can compete in. And true enough, my wins were plentiful, which is not something I can say about any other Battle Royale game. What's great is that my fiancée would end up playing it even when I wasn't around, which was something I never saw her do with any other title before. Hey, a game that makes non-gamers want to get involved is a winner to me. But on top of that, the game is just plain fun. It's that G-rated fun that everyone can have, and a big part of that are the Fall Guys themselves. Their silly walking animations mixed with the sounds of their shrieks as they try to make it to the finish line or last until the end of a round, it just puts a smile on your face. And that's really something that I think was very important to have in 2020. Now, the hype around the game has died down as other titles have come to take its place, which is just really the nature of the business. And I can't really tell you how it's evolved from that first outing, as I really haven't played it much recently. But damn, during those early first months, it was just a fun way to spend your time. Confession time. I liked New Horizons. I did. But I didn't love New Horizons. And if this game had come out any other year, it most definitely would not have made my list. Yet, it makes it onto my list at the place it does due to the respect that I have for the title and all the joy that it brought so many people during a very critical time in their lives. Now, I'm not really going to talk about the game itself, as I'm really going to want to talk about the negative as well as the positives, and that's really not what I want to do with this title. But I am going to mention all the crazy things that I saw people do and create with the game. So many people invested 100+ hours into the title, building creations that have honestly blown me away. It's not just buildings and settings either. There were people that did things like recreate scenes from shows like The Office and Parks and Recs. Famous people would visit people's islands, which is honestly pretty cool in and of itself. And politicians would hold campaigns on their island since the elections were coming up, which is not as cool, unless you're into that stuff. So yeah, the way that it touched so many different lives was just truly spectacular. Look, this is a first for me. I usually don't put games that I don't absolutely enjoy or love into any of my spots, but I just can't deny how important it was for this game to have reached so many. It really distracted from the terribleness of their lives, of our lives during that time, and so kudos to the game. And I don't think I would have forgiven myself if I didn't include it in some form or capacity here. And I think it fits just right here at this spot. Alright, here's one that a lot of people are gonna get pissed off on. But look, I loved Bugsnax. I did, I'm not joking. Not in any ironic way. I fucking fell in love with this title. And honestly, I think a big part of it is just because how weird it is. Plus, that trippy ass ending. I think just like that ending, I just can't let go of these very interesting little creatures. Part bug, part snacks. Look, I'm not gonna pretend that Bugsnax is a revolutionary game or that it's without problems, because none of those things are true. In fact, you could really argue that the game is just bland with repetitive mission structures and wonky controls, which people have. Yet its characters were so interesting to me that I wanted to continue interacting with them, hearing their problems, seeing the conclusion to their stories despite the shortcoming in other areas. Plus, the Bugsnax are so freaking cute. Look, it all culminates in one heck of a twisty ending that I'm not gonna spoil here. But let's just say that it takes a dark turn, which kept my mind on the game long after I completed it. I just love when media of any kind pulls the rug out from under you in a very interesting and unexpected way, and that's really what Bugsnax did to really supplement its place, its spot right here. I would love to see a sequel. But with as negative a reception as I think it got, or the okay reception I think it got, I don't think we'll be seeing one. Which is a shame, because I really like the world, and I think there's a lot more you can do with it. But even if we don't get the sequel, at least we still got one heck of a song! You know those really addicting games that you just can't help but play for long stretches of time, and you want to stop, but you keep telling yourself, oh, just one more round? Yeah, that's Spelunky 2 with me. Honestly, just talking about it's got me itchy to play some more of it, which is saying quite a bit, as I usually do not go back and play older games, since there's always just another one right around the corner that I have my eyes on. Now, sure, this is just more Spelunky, just with tons more secrets to uncover. Yet I can't help but want to turn over every rock, go into every cave, find every hidden passage, find what mysteries the world has. Oh my god, it's a game that is easy to pick up and play, but just difficult to master. And its procedurally generated levels make it a surprise roll of the dice whether this will be the run that screws you over in seconds or screws you over in minutes. And that's just fucking fantastic. And this is also another game that I found my fiance playing when I wasn't around. And how fucking dare she? Not on Spelunky 2, nah. No, I know what I gotta tell her. I know what I gotta do. Gotta be a man. I gotta tell her no. Well, come on, let's go do this.
Oh, hey, love. Can I get a turn?
Get out.
But I mean, it's my game, so I think I need
Get
to.
out!
Oh, okay. Oh.
Yeah, no surprise here. Look, I'll try to keep this one brief because I know everybody's talked about Ghost of Tsushima to death. So let's just get right to it. This is another title that just got my completionist itch going. And you know what? I really started out saying I was only gonna do what I came across and nothing more. Which then turned into, I can't move on to the next section until I discover everything. And it's funny because I don't think Ghost of Tsushima really does anything exceedingly well. Its protagonist is boring as fuck. A majority of its side missions are just busy work and nothing more. and I was actually hoping that how you played the game would change the outcome of the story, similar to Sucker Punch's previous work. But nope, you get one choice at the end and that's it. Though granted, it's one heck of a choice. And yet for all of the bitching just now, I still fell in love with the game. I always say that you know you have a great game on your hand when it can make you look past the flaws and just keep you engaged. And that's exactly what Ghost of Tsushima did to me. I wanted to just keep hanging out in this world. I loved the combat, and I loved discovering all the different places and people. It was an empowering experience that I enjoyed immensely, and despite its flaws, I understand completely why it tops many people's best of year list. Ah shit, that wasn't quick at all. What can I say? Ghost of Tsushima is great, so any excuse to talk about it, I will definitely do. I almost placed Hades at the #1 spot. And I think technically it is the better game. But I just had fun with the #1 a bit more than I did with Hades. But that being said, Hades is freaking amazing. First, what a fucking great premise. The son of Hades wanting to escape hell with the help of other gods of Olympus, and his father's minions attempting to stop him, with each death sending him back home? I honestly would love to see a TV show based on that. And the fact that it uses procedurally generated levels to make the underworld a confusing labyrinth is also genius. This is one of those games that you can sink hours and hours into and still find new things at every turn. There is so much dialogue with these characters that I've yet to repeat any, despite playing it for as long as I have. And huge cred needs to go to Supergiant Games, who managed to make my list almost every single time a game of theirs releases. This is the gold standard for how a game development studio needs to be. If The Last of Us Part 2 and Cyberpunk 2077 are like a soda, tasty but you feel like shit after drinking it, then Hades is like, I don't know, 100% orange juice. It's tasty and it's good for you. Okay, that analogy fucking sucked. But look, Hades doesn't. Hades is amazing, you need to go out and play it. I think it's one that a lot of people may have overlooked because it's not as big budget as some of the other ones. But goddamn, you guys really need to go check that one out. You remember how I said you can tell when you have a great game because it makes you look past the flaws and just completely keep you immersed in the experience? Well, I think this is what a lot of people encountered with this title, especially people who were really fond of the original. I saw so many people pissed off at what they did with the new one. Yet, while other games like Cyberpunk, like Last of Us Part 2, kept people pissed off for long periods of time, the hate on this one quickly died down. And I think really the reason for it is because it is just a great game. So despite its flaws, you can still get lost in it and enjoy yourself. Look, I get while it may have been very shocking to see what direction this very literal remake was going for, the results were still very successful. And I think a big part of that is because of the spirit of the game. This was made by people who understood the spirit of the original. Yes, it veers off track, but never in a way that doesn't feel like Final Fantasy VII. If it had done something like change the personalities of who these characters were or introduce elements that didn't match the world, it could have backfired and earned the ire of many fans. Yet, even the silly things like the Death Eaters, Guardians of Fate, didn't feel completely out of place here. And that's probably because they were supposed to be in the original game before they were cut. So it still feels cohesive to the world. Like, it's not perfect by any means. The game is too bloated at points. And the ending, while epic in its final fight, did feel a little bit too Kingdom Heartsy leading up to that. Look, yet what it left us with was a game that I immediately wanted to experience again as soon as I was done. That's something no other title did to me last year. Sure, there were things that I didn't mind picking up again, but after time had passed, Final Fantasy VII Remake made me want to play through it entirely again. And that is, for me, definitely the sign of a game that hit all the right notes. I really don't think it'll come as a surprise that I'm super excited for the next installment. Just please, Square Enix, don't take forever on it. And that's it for my list, guys. So like always, Thank you for watching, and thank you for subscribing. Wink. And if you feel so inclined, let me know what your list would be in the comments down below. If it's not exactly like mine, I'll say it's wrong. So yeah, do that. And guys, there's still more videos coming out this month. I want to do my Oscar review video next, so look forward to that one. And I'm ultimately going to wrap it up with my favorite films of 2020. So yeah, a lot to look forward to. Like always, guys, please stay safe out there. And until next time, have a good one.